Delhi itself. We're learning that Russian President Vladimir Putin has arrived at the Hyderabad house. He's of course going to be holding the bilateral meeting with Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi. He's just wrapped up a visit to the Rajghat where he paid his tributes to Mahatma Gandhi. He signed the visitors book there as well. Before that, there was a tri-service ceremonial welcome that was held at the Rashtrapati Bhavan with a 21-gun salute, the Russian and Indian national anthems playing as well. All, of course, eyes are trained towards this particular discussion because particularly the United States as it comes. Let's get the live visuals on air rather than taking file shots. The Hyderabad house is, of course, it was built all the way back in 1928 by Nizam Osman Ali Khan as his Delhi residence. It's an official state guest house used by the Indian government for housing foreign dignitaries. And of course, the Russian president is there at the moment. There's also been a lot of discussion that about 25 agreements are slated to be inked. Defense cooperation is in focus. Civil nuclear ties are in focus as well, as is trade. Trade in particular because there's a target of 100 billion US dollars worth of trade set by 2030. India does have a trade deficit with Russia as well, and we are in fact looking at offsetting that as well. Still with us on the broadcast is Major General Sudhakarji. Interesting development. A lot is being expected as far as trade is concerned, but I also wanted to understand from a defense point of view. Because there are expectations that Russia might offer the S-400s, the S-500s, or even the Su-57s. But we know that the nature of warfare is changing. We've seen it in the case of the Russia-Ukraine war as well, and Operation Sindoor. There, of course, live visuals on your screens at the moment from inside Hyderabad House. Bilateral talks are currently underway. Is there any audio? If there is, let's dip in.
You want me to comment, Pia, or?
I'm just checking with my PCR crew if there's an audio in these shots or not. If there is, then we can dip in and hear the comments that are being made. All right, there does not seem to be any audio at the moment, but of course, in the meantime, Major General Sudhakarji, I'd like to rope you in. As I mentioned, the nature of warfare is changing. We've seen drones being used in the Russia-Ukraine conflict. We've seen it with the swarms of Turkish and Chinese drones that, the Pakistanis had, in fact, used to target not just military installations in India, but also civilians as well. In light of that, should India really then go for this deal? Because the US is also offering F-35s, or should we focus more on drone manufacturing?
First, and thereafter, if you have time and if you want me to dilate the subject, because many of the mainstream channels are missing the woods for the trees. And there are important aspects which need to be communicated or shared with the audience. So first question that you have raised about the defense product. I personally feel that F-35 should be rejected outrightly. Why am I saying this without going too much into detail? Just to save on time in your channel, F-35 has not been accepted by the US Armed Forces. What justification India has to accept F-35? It is a rejected stuff. It may be claiming a lot of stealth technology. Just take a couple of months back, take your mind back to Thiruvananthapuram. You saw, although there are a lot of reportage of conspiracy linked with that particular F-35 which came and landed, which was on a kind of a recce mission, landed at Thiruvananthapuram for different kinds of reasons. But the fact of the matter is F-35 has failed miserably in different circumstances, in different kinds of operational or conflict environment. It is not as it is being projected to. The better aircraft of America is F-20, which they will not be ready to part. Even if they part, it is going to be cost prohibitive for a country like India. Here is a country, Russia, which is evergreen. The important factor between Russia and India, today no two countries in the world, they enjoy the ultimate level of trust. Okay, but here is a country which is offering its state-of-the-art fifth generation Su-57 on a platter with assurance of technology transfer without any strings attached. Which country in the world is doing this? So therefore, I would say, and cost is one third the cost of the F-35, one third the cost of the Rafale, or 50% less than the cost of the Rafale, 50% less than that of any other matching aircrafts with matching capability. So therefore, I would say that the pros and cons, if you have to do some kind of a cost-benefit analysis as per a management template, I personally feel the cost-benefit analysis is pointing a very strong pointer towards Su-57. They are saying they are prepared to co-produce, co-design, upgrade the thing like the way BrahMos have been developed. Now the hypersonic missiles soon are going to be deployed on ground jointly. How many countries in the world are ready to offer this? We have our problems. We have the aerospace engine. We have the ship engines. These are all, criticalities as far as the Indian arsenals are concerned for the security imperatives. But the case regarding F-35, I personally feel it should be outrightly rejected with USA, not to be taken, because USA is wanting India to be on a dependent cycle, go with a begging ball every time something happens. Here is a country that cannot be trusted. So element of trust has to be factored in. And plus, if you have time, Pia, I wish to share something through your channel. Otherwise, let go. I have answered your question.
Indeed, we are of course trying to get that feed with us once again. It did seem that the Russian president made some comments in between, but I'd like to take this discussion forward because there were at least rumors that were flying around that India has inked a deal as far as leasing Russian submarines are concerned. That, of course, was promptly denied by the Ministry of External Affairs and the Ministry of Defense. In light of this prompt denial, in light of the sanctions that have been imposed by the United States upon India, what do you make of the calibrated response that we're taking at the moment? We, of course, don't want to draw the ire of the Americans. There was a meeting yesterday that was held by Union Commerce Minister Piyush Goyal with a delegation from Lockheed Martin as well. So is a defense deal really going to transpire, or are we going to see more deals being inked on the economic front?
Simplistic question. There are multiple components. Okay, the first thing is the negotiations, deals going on with USA. I don't think the negotiators from India are not empowered enough from the knowledge and the wisdom point of view to go in for any major purchase from USA. So I would assume that our teams who are talking to USA are sensible enough to go in for those equipments, those arsenals which are not in the center stage, simply to uh, exercise a multi-alignment, that is keep USA happy in simplistic expression, just appease them, just go in for things like those javelin missile system, or go in for something like the second the gun systems that you are procuring, those 2-3 odd items which are not very, very cost prohibitive, but well, they can fit into our kitty, fit into our security apparatus on the periphery, not in the core issue. The core issue is that what has been tested and what has been tried successfully, battle tested, is S-400. There is no other air defense equipment available in the world which is better than S-400. It has been a game changer. It has been a force multiplier, battle tested during Operation Sindoor. We should not actually flip our eye away from S-400 or S-500. We must go in for it. And with regard to the aircraft deal also, India should not buckle under pressure, must dilly-dally, carry out negotiation the way they want, and basically they want to fix everything with the trade deal and connect it with. So we have already given them 10% of our liquid natural gas. For the first time in independent India, we are buying this liquid natural gas so far away from the American shores, and the cost factor is going to double. And similarly, we are buying some equipments. Javelin is being bought. And there is another equipment I'm missing out that is also being bought from USA. So the defense, and if you take the example of past 20 years, USA has been saying that our dependency on Russia is so high. Just for their information, their audience to understand, yes, it used to be high at a particular time, 86%. It came down to 76%. But post Galwan, our dependency on Russia has come down to 36%.
36, yes.
America was zero. And from zero, we have come up to 9.1. Now, as we are talking, it is 13.6. It is going up gradually. So therefore, diversification takes time. They also have to exercise strategic patience. And it not that one night Donald Trump gives an order and next day morning things are signed. That's not the way the security deals are done. It is to fit into the apparatus or the security architecture of the existing ecosystem, and then only it can be integrated and gainfully utilized. Otherwise, it's going to be a waste of money, exchequers, very, very premium exchequers money,
Yes.
which we should guard against. And last but not the least, there is another angle, PR. Very two lines, very briefly. There is a requirement of the regional balance of power as far as the global or geopolitics is concerned. When I say balance of power, in our South Asian subcontinent, there are three arcs of influence which are prominent. One is the Chinese arc, second is the American arc, and the third is the fundamental Islamic, radical Islamic arc. These three are not intersecting. They are not even converging. They are at conflict with each other in a country like Bangladesh and going further east. There is a fourth arc required in order to carry out some kind of a balance in our South Asia. Otherwise, China, the way it is gone around making strategic encirclement of India, we need to have the third power which is going to balance out the power in the region, that is the South Asia, and also it is going to contribute towards the regional stability and further stabilization of the global order. Back to you, Pia.
Indeed, at the same time, I have managed to get an excerpt of what the Indian Prime Minister's message to Vladimir Putin was just a few moments back at the Hyderabad house. These are, of course, shots that are playing out on our screens for the viewers. Meanwhile, the Indian Prime Minister stated that India-Russia ties, the long-standing, cordial, warm ties that we've enjoyed are examples of Vladimir Putin's vision. And interestingly, he's once again reiterated his message with regards to Ukraine. Of course, we all remember last year when he went to Moscow, he had carried a message from President Zelensky to President Putin as well. He had reiterated the fact that this is not an era of war. This time around, once again, he's raised the issue of the Ukraine war, highlighting that India is on the side of peace. This all comes, in fact, as earlier we all remember hearing Dmitry Peskov, who is the spokesperson for Kremlin, having welcomed the statements that were given by Prime Minister Modi, the message that he's been conveying time and again. In fact, I want to inquire with my PCR team once again, do we have the comments, do we have the audio of that particular clip? All right, it seems that we've not managed to get it till now. Let's try and process it. In the meantime, I'd like to go back to Major General Sudhakarji. Another message by Narendra Modi, once again reiterating the fact that India is on the side of peace. We do know that negotiations are still underway. We've recently seen the 5-hour conversation that had taken place with Steve Witkoff and President Putin. Jared Kushner was there as well. And amidst all of this, Russia has characterized these talks as a first step towards the peace proposal. President Putin also, in fact, highlighted that the original plan was a 28-point plan. It's been trimmed down to 27 points. There are, of course, some red lines that have been drawn as well. What do you make of the larger peace process? Donald Trump seems to be, going all in because he does want to solidify his image with his own MAGA voter base as a deal maker and a peacemaker. Amidst all of this, what role can India play in building consensus?
Very good question, Pia. India is doing an excellent job without looking at, the Nobel Peace Prize. Anything that anybody does in the world order or on this planet or universe without expecting anything in return is the ultimate gift of sacrifice, is the ultimate gift to the mankind. So that is what India's leadership is doing quietly and in a in a very positive, productive manner without raising too much of noise or calling out any other issue. This is the way you actually win the hearts and minds of the people, regain the trust. The biggest problem between Russia and the Western alliances is the trust. There is no trust. This peace deal will not see the light of the day. It will collapse. So how do you bring about trust? You bring about trust into happening things, into convert or non-implementable issues into implementation stage by dealing with people or the relevant stakeholder the way Narendra Modi is dealing with Putin. You don't impose things on that. It has to be done in a very cordial atmosphere, in an ambience of mutual acceptability and respect, and I would say mutual recognition of concerns. Russia has its concern. If the Western Alliance is saying Russia is the invader, then they have to actually identify the cause and loop, the cause and the effect loop. Why was Russia compelled to invade into Ukraine? He didn't do it, off the cuff or overnight decision. He has been trying to show signals. Please don't do it. Please don't do it. Since 2004, 2008, 2014. So he has been saying that this is a red line. Please don't do it. You are forcing me to do this. At one point in time, Putin had offered that he wanted to become a NATO member when Bill Clinton was the president. They said, sorry, we can't take you. So what I'm saying is that hope and pray that this mindless conflict comes to an end. At least there is somebody in the world order of the stature of a president of USA has taken the initiative based on his past commitment during election campaigning. Good, bad, ugly, whatever, something is better than nothing. He has given the proposal. You are saying 27. My input says it has been trimmed to 19 points out of 28. But we'll go by what you say. You have got the pulse of the ground and the environment. It has been trimmed to 27 points, whatever it may be. All the points may not be accepted to Ukraine because the Ukraine, they are crying hoarse because the land has to be ceded. 20% land ceding by a sovereign nation to another nation which is being branded as an aggressor, regardless of the reason, the cause and effect cycle, is very difficult for a democratic or parliamentary democracy or the presidential democracy that Ukraine has to ratify with. So until that is done, it is a very, very difficult proposal. And second thing is, giving, basically it is about the Kherson and the Zaporizhia. And the second part of the deal says that the land area which is under Russia will continue to remain under Russia, and the conflict will freeze at the contact line. So when that happens, it causes lot of lingering opportunity or creates an ambience of insurgency. These are all dangers of future. It is very easy to break through and have a peace deal, but until you have a lasting and a sustainable peace, it will be very difficult to carry it forward. It may last for a month or maybe 6 months, maybe 1 year, but it may fizzle out very soon. Therefore, to summarize my articulation in response to your question, it's a very good initiative. We must get going ahead. We must talk to all the relevant stakeholders. We must put our acts together. And India has got a very significant role to play. But my advice to the leadership of India is to not to get into this kind of peacemaking proposals. You can sit outside the fence, keep advising them, keep giving humanitarian assistance. But for please God's sake, it is a very, very complex issue. Today, what you may think of, achieving in a short or myopic time frame may not be achievable in next 3 to 10 years time. This conflict may carry on for next 10 years for all you care. But the end state is, Pia, you must understand there is a bigger aim which is being pushed. The agenda is being pushed. That agenda is they're trying to get Russia back to the geopolitical architecture. One. Number two, they want to give or restore the status quo of G8 Russia once upon a time used to be G8, a member of the G8 countries, and it was severed in 2014. They want to take it back there. Number three, this can happen only if there is peace in the European Union or Europe. So willy-nilly, Europe will be imposed with those circumstances wherein they will have no representation. They have to lump all the kinds of grievances they are making now. They have to accept peace in a peaceful manner, and only then the bigger aim of USA, that is the bipartisan aim, which is there in the national security strategy doctrine, they will be able to isolate China effectively.
Indeed. In fact, we're getting further updates from what's transpired as far as these talks are concerned. Interestingly, President Putin has in fact also stated that the relationship between both countries is deeply rooted in history, but it's not words that matter, it's the substance which is profound. He's also thanked the Indian Prime Minister for friendly and substantial talk yesterday evening. Remember, there was a dinner that was hosted by the Indian Prime Minister. Meanwhile, Prime Minister Modi has conveyed that the role that was played all the way back in 2001, remember, even before Prime Minister Modi was Chief Minister of Gujarat, he'd gone to Russia as a part of a delegation with then Indian Prime Minister Atal Bihari Vajpayee to get some crucial agreements signed. He's recalled that particular moment and stated that Putin is a perfect example of how a visionary leader thinks, where they begin and how far they can take relationship, and that the India-Russia equation is the finest example of this.
Встреча будет вселить надежду в этот вопрос. Уважаемый господин президент, сегодня весь день мы будем разговаривать по разным темам. Пускай наша встреча придаст новый импульс нашему экономическому сотрудничеству. Мы возлагаем большие надежды на нашу сегодняшнюю встречу, и мы ожидаем хороших результатов по итогам нашей встречи.
My friend, मैं फिर से एक बार आपका और आपके डेलीगेशन हृदय से बहुत-बहुत स्वागत करता हूँ.
Дорогой друг, еще раз хотел бы поприветствовать вас и вашу делегацию в Индии.
Спасибо.
Спасибо большое. Thank you very much. Уважаемый господин премьер-министр, дорогие друзья, прежде всего спасибо большое за приглашение.
Excellency, Prime Minister, dear friends, first of all, thank you very much for inviting me.
И за вчерашний очень добрый вечер.
And for the yesterday's evening too, it was very good.
Дружеский, в то же время с такой содержательной, очень полезной беседой.
We had a friendly and at the same time a very substantial talk.
У нас была возможность, и дали мне такую возможность подробно рассказать о том, что происходит на как раз украинском направлении.
I could share a great deal of details about the events taking place in Ukraine.
И что нами предпринимается совместно с некоторыми другими партнерами, в том числе с Соединенными Штатами, по вопросу возможного мирного урегулирования этого кризиса.
And the actions we are taking together with some partners, including the United States, on a possible peaceful settlement.
Спасибо вам за это внимание и спасибо за ваши усилия, направленные на разрешение этой ситуации.
Thank you for the attention and for your efforts aimed at finding a solution to this situation.
Что касается наших отношений, то они действительно носят очень глубокий исторический характер. Как бы мы его не характеризовали, какими бы эпитетами его не украшали, важно другое, важно содержание. А содержание очень глубокое.
Our relations are deeply rooted into history, but it is not the words that matter, it is the substance of the matter, which is very profound.
Мы этим очень дорожим, и мы видим, что вы, уважаемый господин премьер-министр, уделяете этому тоже очень большое личное внимание.
We really appreciate that, and the fact that you, Excellency Prime Minister, pay special personal attention to that.
За прошедшие годы нами проделана очень большая работа в развитии наших отношений.
Over the past years, we have done a great deal of work to develop our relationship.
И по мере развития наших стран, по мере развития экономик наших государств, возможности нашего сотрудничества расширяются.
As our countries and our economies move forward, we have more opportunities for cooperation.
У нас появляются новые направления,
We open additional areas for cooperation,
связанные с высокими технологиями,
including those related to high-tech,
связанные с развитием и совместной работы в области авиации, космоса, высоких технологий в широком смысле слова, искусственного интеллекта.
as well as the cooperation in the sphere of aircraft, space exploration, high-tech and artificial intelligence.
У нас очень доверительные отношения в сфере военно-технического взаимодействия.
We have very close and trusting cooperation in the military and technical area.
Мы намерены двигаться по всем этим направлениям.
And we are planning to move forward in all of these areas.
Это только лишний раз подчеркивает уровень, характер и доверительность наших связей.
This once again underscores the level and the trust of our relationship.
Наши команды очень хорошо поработали в преддверии этого визита.
Our teams have done a great work before this visit.
Подготовлен целый ряд документов солидных.
They have prepared a great number of documents for us.
У нас есть возможность на чем-то остановиться, что-то обсудить дополнительно.
We have an opportunity to talk in more detail about some of them.
Ну и уверен, что мы сегодняшний рабочий день завершим с хорошим результатом.
I am sure that we'll have a very fruitful working day.
Спасибо.
Thank you very much.
There, of course, viewers, we've heard what was discussed by both leaders in length. Of course, both leaders are giving each other their opening statements, their opening message. Remember, there was a dinner that was held yesterday that was appreciated by President Putin. Meanwhile, as far as the Ukraine crisis is concerned, the Indian Prime Minister has stated that since the crisis commenced, both leaders have been in constant discussion from time to time, calling Putin a true friend. He's highlighted that Russia has kept India informed about everything, and he believes that this trust is a great strength, and that he too has discussed this matter with President Putin many times and presented it before the world. Prime Minister Modi has further emphasized that the welfare of nations lies in the path of peace. Together, we will lead the world towards that path. I am fully confident that with the efforts being made in recent days, the world will once again return to the direction of peace. This is, of course, the latest that is coming in as far as this meeting is concerned. We've heard the full statement by the Russian president, and the Indian Prime Minister has further gone on to state that in recent days, whenever he's spoken with leaders of the global community and discussed the Ukraine issue in particular in detail, he's always emphasized that India is not neutral. India has a clear position, and that position is towards peace, and that we support every effort towards peace as well. These are the latest remarks that have been made by Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi with Russian President Vladimir Putin as well. Both leaders once again highlighting the fact that ties between the two countries have been long-standing. There is a special privileged partnership that both countries enjoy as well.
व्यस्त रहे हैं और बहुत सारे आउटकम के साथ आज हमारी ये समिट आगे बढ़ रही है। एक्सेलेंसी, आपकी यात्रा बहुत ही ऐतिहासिक है। 2001 में जब आपने कार्यभार संभाला और भारत की आपकी यात्रा पहली हुई, उसको आज 25 साल हो गए, और उस पहली यात्रा में ही स्ट्रेटेजिक पार्टनरशिप की एक मजबूत नींव रखी गई थी। मेरे लिए पर्सनली भी खुशी की बात है कि आपके साथ मेरे परिचय को और संबंधों को उसको भी 25 साल हो गए। एक्सेलेंसी, मैं मानता हूं कि ये जो 2001 में आपने जो भूमिका अदा की, एक विजनरी लीडर कैसे सोचता है, कहाँ से शुरू करता है और संबंधों को कहाँ तक पहुँचा सकता है, इसका एक उत्तम उदाहरण भारत रशिया के संबंध है। एक्सेलेंसी, यूक्रेन के संकट के बाद हमारी लगातार चर्चा होती रही है आपने भी समय समय पर एक सच्चे मित्र के रूप में हमें सभी चीजों से अवगत कराया है। मैं समझता हूं कि ये विश्वास बहुत बड़ी ताकत है और आपको मैंने अनेक बार इस विषय की चर्चा भी की है और विश्व समक्ष भी मैंने रखा है कि विश्व का कल्याण शांति के मार्ग पर ही है। हम सबको मिलकर के शांति के रास्ते तलाशने चाहिए और पिछले दिनों जो प्रयास चल रहे हैं, मुझे पूरा विश्वास है कि विश्व फिर से एक बार शांति की दिशा में लौटेगा। एक्सेलेंसी, पिछले दिनों विश्व समुदाय के सभी नेताओं से जब भी मेरी बात हुई और उन्होंने जब विस्तार से मेरे चर्चा की, मैंने हमेशा कहा है कि भारत न्यूट्रल नहीं है, भारत का पक्ष है और वो पक्ष शांति का है। हम शांति के हर प्रयासों का समर्थन करते हैं और हम शांति के हर प्रयासों के साथ कंधे से कंधा मिला करके खड़े हैं। पूरे विश्व ने कोविड से लेकर के अब तक कई संकटों से गुजरा है। हम आशा करते हैं कि बहुत ही जल्द विश्व को चिंताओं से मुक्ति मिलेगी और एक सही दिशा में प्रगति के राह पर विश्व समुदाय को एक नई आशा पैदा होगी। एक्सेलेंसी, मुझे पूरा भरोसा है कि आज दिन भर हम अनेक विषयों पर चर्चा करने वाले हैं। भारत और रशिया के आर्थिक संबंधों का अधिक विस्तार हो, हम नई नई ऊंचाइयों को प्राप्त करें, ऐसे बहुत ही आशावादी आउटकम के साथ हम हमारी इस मीटिंग को आगे बढ़ाएंगे, ये मेरा पूरा विश्वास है। माय फ्रेंड, मैं फिर से एक बार आपका फिर से बहुत बहुत स्वागत करता हूं।
There, of course, so we've heard the full statement by the Indian Prime Minister as well. Before that, we heard the full statement by the Russian President. Ukraine war has, in fact, been factored in by the Indian Prime Minister, as I discussed earlier with Major General Sudhakarji as well. Modi calling Putin a visionary leader, recalling his 2001 visit. But interestingly, I'd like to rope in Major General Sudhakarji back into the conversation over here. The Russian president has highlighted the fact that both countries plan to move forward in a range of areas which underscores the level of trust in the relationship. The Russian president has highlighted AI, the aircraft sector, high-tech, military, technical and space as well. We also see that the chief of Rosatom is accompanying the Russian president. There's been a lot of talk regarding small nuclear reactors. There was in fact a fresh consignment of fuel from Russia that is on its way to the Kundankulam nuclear plant for delivery as well, for the phase 2 of the Kundankulam nuclear plant. Where do you see cooperation between India and Russia diversifying?
Great question, and the answer lies in it is expected to reach formidable heights. When I say formidable heights, what I mean to say is that diverse milestones are likely to be achieved, and this is going to be kind of a path-breaking jointmanship between Russia and India, which will eventually bring the strengths of both the nations together to achieve those objectives which are dominated in the technology paradigm. And particularly, you have named few of them. Allow me to name a couple of more. Energy storage. You have memomics or genomics. It is the life science. It talks about the biotechnology. Talks about how to cater for issues like countries which have got higher median age. Russia itself is 40 plus. China is 40 plus. Japan is close to 50 years. They don't have enough people to work for their country in their industry. So how do you cater for these kind of things? And also you have semi-autonomous platforms. You see, production of semiconductor, you, me and others, we have heard about the thing coming up in silicon wafers. But there is a research going on which will ultimately come on a plastic sheet. So these kind of research, and most importantly, we need to divide our relationship into short term, medium term, long term. And all these have to be divided further into levels, strategic level or say intermediate level and the functional or the working level. And we have to actually identify the theme. The biggest theme that we need to address between two countries are the key issues which I have actually highlighted initially when we started our discourse or panel discussion in the morning. Basically, it is going to be oriented towards addressing the trade imbalance. Number two, energy security. Number three, the security in the subcontinent, so as to meet the national interest of India, in my opinion. And you also mentioned about a very important aspect about the lease agreement for the submarine. As on today, India has got 19 submarines. We need many more because China and Pakistan put together, they will be touching something close to 79 to 80 submarines. If all of them come underwater in Indian Ocean, then India may not be able to cater for the security needs. Therefore, there is a requirement to take submarines on lease from Russia. It's a very important point made by you earlier. And more than that is the energy security. Our target is by 2070, we want to achieve that green energy level or zero emission capability. In order to achieve that, by 2030, we have set a target of 500 gigawatt from non-fossil fuel kind of a renewable energy. And as on today, we have achieved a target of 256 gigawatts. We want to achieve much more. But most importantly, the strength of Russia lies in the small and medium size modular nuclear reactor, like the ones which are actually installed in submarines. You have SSBNs. Similarly, for big townships or small townships, rather than depending on coal or the thermal generating electricity power plants, if we have nuclear reactors, then our dependence on the fossil fuel, particularly coal, which is of very high percentage in India, 71 to 73% dependency. This will go down drastically in foreseeable future. As and today, we have achieved a target of 8.1 gigawatts from the nuclear reactors. We have set a target of 100 gigawatts by 2030 and 2035 between the two timelines. And we have already pumped in money, 20,000 crores in this year's budget. It's a very, very bold step taken by the leadership of our country. And with the help of Russia, I'm sure this is going to pave the way forward towards a high generation of energy and make our country independent of the fossil fuel. Last but not the least, when you talk about the high technology, we should not miss the issues like quantum computing. We should not be ignoring the issue like 6G, the space technology. These are the fields, paradigms where Russia is miles ahead. People may not be talking. Actually, we missed the bus in early 90s when Soviet Union was actually disintegrated. Soviet Union had offered large number of scientists to India, but India was going through a very critical phase.
Yes.
We didn't have enough of money to employ them. China had taken them. They have had a head start on certain issues. We need to go in for it. Artificial intelligence, robotics, 6G warfare, as also the information warfare paradigm, and coming on to the cognitive domain. When you talk about the information warfare, Russia is very good on all this. It has got epistemic, it has got cognitive, and it has got the cyber capability to address any kind of threat emerging in the subcontinent or outside the subcontinent, so as to keep our India population of 1.45 billion safe and secure in times ahead.
Absolutely, sir. With that, I'd like to thank you for taking our time, of course, sharing your analysis and insights with our viewers. On that note, we dip into a quick short break. We'll be back with further updates from New Delhi.